Have you ever felt like you're pouring your heart and soul into something, only to feel completely invisible? Like your hard work goes unnoticed, and your efforts don't matter? If you've ever felt that way, then I want you to listen closely to Allan's story. Allan was just like many of us. He worked in a bustling office, always the first to arrive and the last to leave. He'd take on extra projects, help his colleagues without a second thought, and consistently deliver high-quality work. But at the end of the day, when promotions were handed out or praise was given, his name was never mentioned. He was just part of the background, a reliable but unseen cog in the machine. This constant feeling of being overlooked chipped away at his confidence. He started to wonder, am I really good enough? Do I even matter here? He felt worthless, like a ghost haunting the hallways of his own life. This feeling didn't just stay at the office. It followed him home, clouding his evenings and weekends. He'd scroll through social media, seeing others celebrate their successes, and the pit in his stomach would just grow deeper. He felt stuck, defined by a job that didn't see him, and a sense of inadequacy he couldn't shake. He believed his value was tied directly to his professional achievements. And since those weren't being recognized, he felt he had no value at all. It was a heavy burden to carry, and he was getting tired. One weekend, while cleaning out his late grandfather's old storage box, Allan stumbled upon something he hadn't seen in years. Tucked away beneath stacks of letters and old photographs was a small, velvet pouch. Inside was his grandfather's pocket watch. It was old. The silver casing was tarnished, and there were tiny scratches on its face. He remembered his grandfather carrying it everywhere. Along with the watch, there was a small folded note. The handwriting was his grandfather's, elegant and familiar. It simply said, "Allan, when you feel lost, find out what this is truly worth." Holding the watch, Allan felt a wave of nostalgia. He decided to follow his grandfather's cryptic advice. Maybe it was a puzzle to solve, a distraction from his current state of mind. He didn't expect much. To him, it was just a sentimental old trinket, probably not worth more than a few dollars. But his grandfather was a wise man, and Allan felt compelled to see this through, found a list of local jewelers, and decided to visit one the next day. It felt like a small quest, a tiny spark of purpose in an otherwise gray existence. He had no idea this small step was about to change everything. The next morning, Allan walked into an old-fashioned jewelry shop, the kind with a little bell that chimed when the door opened. An elderly jeweler with kind eyes and a magnifying glass looped around his neck greeted him. Allan hesitantly placed the old tarnished watch on the counter. "I was hoping you could tell me what this is worth," he said, almost apologetically. "It was my grandfather's." The jeweler picked it up with a delicate pair of tweezers, his expression unreadable, examined it from every angle, opened the back casing, and peered at the intricate gears inside. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity. Allan fidgeted, expecting the man to say it was just a common, worthless piece. Finally, the jeweler looked up, his eyes wide with surprise. "Young man," he said, his voice filled with reverence, "where did you get this? This isn't just any old watch. This is an incredibly rare Patek Philippe from the early 1920s. It's a masterpiece of its time. Despite its age and wear, in its current condition, it's worth at least $100,000. To a collector, maybe even more." Allan was stunned into silence. $100,000? For this old, scratched-up thing? Couldn't believe it. He had judged it by its worn exterior, seeing it as insignificant, just like he saw himself. But an expert, someone who knew its true nature, saw its immense value. The jeweler's words echoed in his mind. The watch's worth wasn't diminished by its scratches or its age. Its value was intrinsic, built into its very design and craftsmanship. As he walked out of the shop, the watch feeling heavy in his pocket, his grandfather's words from the note came back to him. Find out what this is truly worth. It wasn't about the monetary value. It was a lesson. His grandfather had left him a metaphor for his own life. He hurried home and found the rest of his grandfather's letters. In one, he found what he was looking for. His grandfather had written, "Allan, this watch will pass through many hands. Some will see it as old and useless. Others, who know its true nature, will see its incredible worth. But remember, the watch's value never changes based on who is holding it. It is always a masterpiece. And so are you. Your worth is not determined by the applause or neglect of others. It is inherent. Never, ever forget that." Tears streamed down Allan's face as he read the letter. It was like a light had been switched on in a dark room. All this time, he had been letting his boss, his colleagues, the entire world tell him what he was worth. He had been looking for external validation, waiting for someone to put a price tag on him. He had forgotten that his value, just like the watches, was already there. It was built in. He hadn't lost his worth. He had just forgotten it. He had allowed the opinions of people who didn't know his true nature to define him. That realization was the turning point. Allan didn't suddenly quit his job or make a dramatic scene. Change was quieter but far more profound. It started from within. He began to see himself differently. When his boss overlooked him for a project, instead of internalizing it as a reflection of his inadequacy, he reminded himself of the watch. The jeweler didn't know the watch's story or who owned it. He just recognized its inherent quality. Allan's worth wasn't tied to this one job or this one person's opinion. He started setting boundaries. Stopped staying late every night just to be seen. He started saying no to extra work that wasn't his responsibility. He used that newfound time for himself. He remembered how much he used to love drawing, a passion he had abandoned because he thought it was unproductive. He bought a sketchbook and started drawing again. First he was rusty, but it wasn't about being perfect. It was about doing something for himself. Something that brought him joy, separate from any external validation. As Allan began to invest in himself, something amazing happened. People at work started to notice the change. He was calmer, more confident. He spoke up in meetings, not with arrogance, but with the quiet assurance of someone who knows their own value. He no longer sought approval, and ironically, he began to earn more respect. His colleagues started coming to him for his well-thought-out opinions, and his boss even complimented him on his renewed focus and insightful contributions. But for Allan, the external praise was no longer the goal. It was just a pleasant side effect. The real prize was the peace he had found within himself. Allan's story teaches us a powerful lesson. Your self-worth is not a stock that goes up with praise and down with criticism. It's not something you earn or something that can be taken away. It is a fundamental, unchanging part of who you are. We live in a world that constantly tries to label us, to put us in boxes, and to assign us a value based on our jobs, our salaries, our looks, or our social media following. It's so easy to get lost in that noise and forget our intrinsic value. Just like Allan's watch, you might have some scratches, some wear and tear from life's challenges. You might feel old, overlooked, or tarnished, but that doesn't diminish your worth. The right people, and most importantly, you will see the masterpiece that you are. Your value isn't up for debate. It isn't negotiable. It is absolute. So the next time you feel invisible or undervalued, remember Allan and the old pocket watch. Remind yourself that you are not defined by other people's inability to see your worth. Your value is inherent. It was there yesterday, it is there today, and it will be there tomorrow. Your job is not to convince others of it, but simply to remember it for yourself. Live by it, honor it, and never let anyone, including yourself, forget it. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content to help you live a more empowered and fulfilling life. Share this video with someone who might need to hear this message today. And remember, you are valuable. You are enough, right now, just as you are. See you in the next video.